Good evening and welcome to the Kim B. Davis Show. I'm your host, Kim B. Davis, and this evening we have one of our favorite guests, Mr. Eric Harp. He is our certified professional fitness trainer and educator. Tonight, we're going to talk about heart health and fitness. And of course, we always start our show off with current topics. So, good evening, Mr. Harp. How are you?
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me once again. It is a beautiful time of year.
Yes, it
And
is.
thank you for letting me be here as a guest. Like I said, it's a great time of year. It's a great time to get ready to get outside.
That's
As the
right.
weather's breaking, it's time to start making some moves because we got to keep moving. We got to get moving.
That's right. We sure do. But before we get to fitness, we have so much to talk about in current topics. So, so the saga that just keeps on giving. We have Fonnie Willis in Atlanta, and it was recently she won. However, her lead prosecutor, who was the person she was accused of having interfered with, stepped down off the case. So we'll see how that impacts things. But meanwhile, in New York, former President Trump was ordered to pay $400 million in bond, and it was lowered to $175 million. Just crazy. The stories just keep on going. Catch us up, Mr. Harp. Tell us what's going on.
Wow. I mean, you see me shaking my head in utter disgust
Yes,
because the number one part of our Constitution says no one is above the law, and this man has been moving and shaking
yes.
above the law.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a half a billion dollars due
Yes.
Monday,
Yes.
the 25th of March.
Mm-hmm.
And on the 25th of March, they reduced it
They did.
by half.
Mm-hmm.
Now, still a lot of money. 175 million is still a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And Trump don't have it.
Right.
But what they did was they gave him an extension.
Mm-hmm.
So what your boy did is he decided to take his broke butt and make his company public.
Mm-hmm.
So Truth Social um, is now public and probably worth about $3 billion. That's the
Mm-hmm.
going rate unless he inflated it like he did his buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I know I'm sounding mean, but he's already been guilty, found liable for inflating his assets.
Yes. And here we go
And,
again.
and here we go again. So now he gets his obligation reduced. Um, he gets to spend a little bit more time trying to secure a deal for either bond or the selling of his platform.
Mm-hmm.
And whether he makes the money or not, isn't it time for some punishment?
Mm-hmm.
And isn't it some time for some punishment?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've said this, for a few months on our podcast when he says, um, "I'm just like you, black people. I'm just like you." Like, no, you're not. You keep getting away with it.
That's right.
So, it's laughable, but it's really not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we're suffering. The country is suffering because of this.
Mm-hmm.
What you have are people to split decisions. You have people who are not knowing what their futures are going to look like because if this man gets in office, it's wraps. It's a wrap.
Mm-hmm.
And if this man doesn't get in office for other half of the country, it's a wrap.
Mm-hmm.
And though I don't predict or in any kind of way make light of a civil war, that's where we are.
You're right.
We have Republicans and Democrats. That's one. We have colors against colors. That's two.
Mm-hmm.
We have the haves and the have-nots,
Right. That's three.
intellectuals and you're not intellectuals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And all of this is playing out on social media.
Mm-hmm.
All of it
Mis-
is playing out on social media.
Mr. Harp, comment because former President Trump came out a couple weeks ago. He was at a campaign rally stop, and I forget where he was. I believe he was in Wisconsin, and he said it will be a bloodbath if he does
Mm,
not win. I've
mm,
had conversations with people who said, "Oh, he was misspeaking." And
no,
I keep
no.
asking, what part of that did we misunderstand. Did we misunderstand that, Mr. Hart?
Listen, anything that comes out of his mouth is word salad anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to take serious some of the things he says. You don't just come to the words, if I don't win, it'll be a bloodbath
Mm-hmm.
by accident.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And whether he meant it metaphorically or whether he meant it literally, these are words that came out of his mouth and can be interpreted by the listener as any way possible. And so those who would desire a bloodbath will heed those words.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's all right for former President Trump to jump back and say, "What? I didn't know they were going to do that. I didn't know," and play the innocent role. But yet, those are his words.
Mm-hmm.
And today is that day where you can just clip a soundbite,
Right.
as we do.
Mm-hmm.
So he's
Mm-hmm.
got his soundbite out, and his defense team all trying to defend it, defend it, defend it. Where it shouldn't, of course, it shouldn't have been said.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's referring to the auto industry. In the context of his conversation, okay, he was talking about the auto industry. But he said, if I don't win, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Yes. Yes.
And so, had the other side said this, they'd be running with it out the door.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That that the current president said is going to be a bloodbath if he doesn't win. They'd be running with it out the door. But again, with this young man, excuse me, with the former president, Donald Trump, it's incredible that nothing seems to stick. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and for those that cheer him on, hey, go for it. But this is not a good place to be. It's definitely not a good place to be because oh, there are many who seek violence, as we saw 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There are many who seek violence and get blacked out,
Mm-hmm.
and then turn around and say, "What? What did I do? I I was in a zone." And so, you know, unfortunately, the former president is good at riling people up. So, let me say one other thing.
Please.
The way that they went after President Biden for in his State of the Union
Yes.
mistake or misspeaking the
Mm-hmm.
name of Laken Riley and calling her Lincoln Riley,
Mm-hmm.
they never let him. They never, to this day,
Right.
have not let him go for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, the comments of bloodbath, people want to stand by it. They want
Mm-hmm.
to stand by it and say, "Oh, you know what he meant."
No, I don't.
And so that double standard that I have to let go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
hey, I love my country. I love where I am.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
However, I get very disappointed when I see things like this. What do the newscasters do? I mean, what do the commentators do?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because everything is now available on platforms such as this,
Yes. Yes.
for people like you and I to talk about
Mm-hmm.
and to give our 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so moving on. Moving on
I
to
know.
I know it's a lot. And we have wars that are still happening. We still have Ukraine and Russia, and we
Yes.
still have Israel and
Mhm.
Palestine. Do you want to
Yes.
give us an update on where we are with those?
Well, Ukraine is running out of supplies.
Yes.
And our current Republican Congress doesn't want to give them any money,
Yes, correct.
doesn't want to help them or give them any money, says our obligation to Ukraine is done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, we just had a event that was publicized in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
U.S. intelligence tried to warn Russia that a sneak attack was about to happen. It was imminent. It was about to happen. And then just a day or two later, at
It
a
happened.
at an outdoor concert,
Mm-hmm.
they got attacked.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to the October 7th events that happened in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
They were attacked.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's lots of speculation that it was Iran or backed
Mm-hmm.
by Iran. But I thought Iran was a sponsor of Russia.
Yes. Yes.
But hey, silly me, you know. Um, they say it was an Iranian style attack. and yet Russia is now what are they looking for help from America?
I know.
Or is
It's
it just a
interesting.
is this a news flash? Because we
Yes.
never heard of any news flashes coming from Russia before.
Mm-mm.
And I'm sure
Mm-mm.
this is not the first time that they've had any kind of attack or any kind of situation like America has. We have violence every day. I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
Russia has violence every day, but we just
Mm-hmm.
never hear about
Mm-hmm. Very
it.
true.
And now we're hearing about this Iranian attack, and it just seems like something's a little fishy.
It
Um,
does. It
because
does.
Russia and America have been a little too chummy lately.
Mm-hmm.
We
Very
spoke
much
about
so.
this the last time that we went to school, and we were taught that we're not friends with Russia.
Right. That's our enemy.
That's our enemy, and has been and will be. And speaking of
Mm-hmm.
enemies, this is why you have the Jews against the Palestinians,
Yeah, exactly.
natural born enemies.
Mm-hmm.
And their situation is out of control. In fact, it's so out of control that it's getting United States Congress messed up
Mm-hmm.
for those who support and those who don't support.
Yes.
And what kind of Jew would not support Israel?
Right.
And it seems that Chuck Schumer is that particular Jew because he's asking for a regime change.
Mm-hmm.
He's asking for new elections in a democratically held uh, country of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Mm-hmm.
saying, look, this is unacceptable. You know, the call for genocide,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the promise of genocide,
Mm-hmm. The
the threat.
videos that we've seen where older people are just simply trying to cross the street or go to the market and they've been gunned down.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Simply for being Palestinian.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are we sanctioning racism? Because that's what we're doing.
Right.
And again, this is one of the oldest conflicts,
Yes.
in
It's
our
been
history.
going on
This
since Bible days, biblical
this is
times.
one of the oldest conflicts in our known history. David and
Mm-hmm.
Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And so the Jews against the Palestinians, as much as its history, with this little upper hand that Israel has with the weapons that have been provided by the United States,
Mm-hmm.
that's a little something different,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
And so now we using weapons of mass destruction against civilians.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a military operation.
Mm-mm.
And
Mm-mm.
so now we're breaking all kind of rules of conduct. And these rules of conduct has the rest of the world looking. And with the rest of the
Exactly.
world looking, of course, the rest of the world is ready to jump in at any time.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you're not going to let the underdog just take it like that.
Right.
Wipe out a whole race of people, because there's some more of that race of people that might be in other countries that are not going to sit still,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, and especially here in America, most notably in the Detroit area, with one of the highest percentages of um, Arab
Arabic.
American and Jewish
Mm-hmm.
American.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is not looking good,
Not at all.
and we don't have any place for a, a race war in these streets.
Not at all. And speaking of Haiti,
Yeah,
Haiti is going through it.
yes.
And their president resigned because the gangs have completely taken over the country. The governor in Florida came out and said, we got people standing at the border with guns. Any Haitians, we sending them back. And often I think, and so yes, Mr. Harp, exactly. We just talked about Jews and Arabic people. We're talking about Russians and Ukrainians. So all these different people who have come and who have asked the United States for help. Haiti asked the
Mhm.
United States for help. The United
Very
States
much
said
so.
no. Said no, it's not our problem. Well, guess what? It isn't your problem because these people are coming to your border because they want to get away. They want safety. And I've been reading a little bit about this gang leader whose name is Barbecue. And the reason that his name is Barbecue is because he likes to cannibalize people.
Mm.
He kills people, and then he eats them or
Mm.
consumes them, however that looks.
I would hope
And
it's just eating.
right. I don't know, and
My goodness.
as we always say, there's nothing new under the sun. There are historical figures who would pillage and kill people, stake them,
Yeah. Hmm.
consume them.
Hmm.
Every country has stories of that.
That is very true.
But it is interesting to see, not that the world is descending into, but it feels like it, where you start to see all these hot spots around the world of aggression. And you start to wonder, because if Haiti, and I don't know how Haiti could destabilize the Caribbean, but I could see it where it starts to spill over, because the other countries, they can't absorb all those people. They are all struggling, looking for tourism. Every time a hurricane comes through, it wipes out their economy, and they have to work really hard to get that back. But we're so interconnected globally. And President Obama said that back in 2008, 2009, that we are global now. We like to sit here and say, well, Detroit, Michigan, I live in Detroit, Michigan. Yes, but what happens across the ocean in China impacts what happens in Detroit, Michigan. Talk about that, Mr. Herb.
Well, we're all connected because we have what's called the internet.
Yes.
We're all connected over these electronic devices.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way there's not any problem for me to call China and to be able to see China at the same time.
Exactly. TikTok.
Um, TikTok. And that's another story.
Yes, that is
But
another story.
listen, we are not so far apart, but we're miles apart because we can't see eye to eye. Um, so now the Haiti and the Dominican Republic, same island. One side is Haiti, the other side is Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic is not doing so horrible at the moment.
Right.
But Haiti,
Mm-hmm.
out of control.
Yes.
And this is not the first time.
Mm-mm.
45 years ago, it was the same situation with Haitians flooding into Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's what this country is.
Mm-hmm.
And what this country is needs to, you know, look in the mirror and say, okay, stop with all the bull. This is what we are. The
Mm-hmm.
Statue of Liberty says, give us your huddle masses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all
Give
these
us your
people,
tired, give us your poor.
all of these people that are coming to America who advertise itself as the country to be, the
Mm-hmm.
place to be.
Mm-hmm.
These people who are leaving war-torn countries trying to get here.
Yep.
And the closest ones especially. So Mexico, South America, Central America, those who are trying to make that trip thousands of miles through those adversities just to get through a fence that's going to cut them up.
Yep. Or risk being shot trying to
Or risk
cross the
being
border.
shot, risk being drowned in some shallow water,
Or risk being
comparatively.
trafficked. Or risk being trafficked.
All of that.
Because the coyote, I believe they're called coyotes.
Coyotes. Yeah.
Or coyotes. So these
Yeah.
are people who smuggle people across the border. You have to pay them so much money. They promise you jobs and different opportunities. And sometimes when you get here, it's legit, and other times it's not. And when it's
Other
not
times it's not.
legit, you are in
But
something
that's the
that
gamble.
right.
That's the gamble that people are taking to get to America.
Mm-hmm.
And people have done it all the time. When they took the ships from England, when they took the ships from France, all they were doing is the exact same thing. It's just more people doing it. So here we are, Haitians. Where they gonna go?
Right.
They're already on the island. Where are they gonna go? And so the sickening part is that we have governors in these particular states that are like, get them out of here. We don't want them. We don't want them. I mean, that's a kick in the face. Now, in Miami, you got a place called Little Haiti. What if Little Haiti was to erupt? And of course, they're not big enough to take on the state. But here we are. We have how do you make change? You got to be loud. And these Haitians would be loud. But Dominicans share the island, so I'm sure some Dominicans will come to that aid. And I'm sure some other people will come to that aid because we're now worldwide connected on the internet.
Right.
So nothing is quiet anymore. But it's interesting to see because a Governor Abbott and a Governor DeSantis, they have term limits. They
Mm-hmm.
do have term limits. And though things are getting nasty, they still have term limits. And we hope that nobody would be as nasty.
Mm-hmm.
So I pray for the immigrants coming in from the south and the immigrants coming in from the southeast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because it's hard, and like you said, when a storm hits,
Right.
it's that island up,
Right.
and now they have to travel over here during storm season
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just to try to get here. I was
Mm-hmm.
looking at another report on how the U.S. Coast Guard and how they're looking for particular boats. So they can
Right.
hurry up and deport, hurry up and
Mm-hmm.
deport. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so the name of the game right now is deportation.
Yeah.
Um,
Soon as we
and that's
spot
all.
you, mm-mm, go back. Go back.
Not here.
Not here. And you brought up a great point, Mr. Harp. You talked about big statements, big announcements. Um, Something really big happened on TikTok, and I know in this country we are currently having conversations about banning TikTok in Congress, and we'll have to see what happens with that. But I saw a report and started scouring news, and it became an obscure story. But
Okay.
Putin had a story where he said he unearthed an artifact, which is one of the oldest in the world,
Mm,
depicting a
mm.
black Jesus. Talk
Ooh.
about talk about that, Mr. Hart.
Oh my goodness. Ain't that the right time?
Mm. I said, okay, now. I said, what is happening?
Nah, an oldest artifact.
Hmm. How do we know
Now,
that it's the oldest artifact?
well, we got to take his word for it.
Right, right.
You know, you know, see certain things that I would definitely go with because I do believe that there was a flood,
Hmm.
the Great Flood, as we would call it,
Yeah,
where you might find something that wasn't supposed to be here over there.
right.
You know, and but now we're talking about during the life of Jesus. Now,
Hmm.
the oldest artifact. Um, I never read that Jesus went to as far as Russia.
No.
Um, so I don't know what artifact could be there or what artifact could have been picked up, sold at auction. You know, there's people talk about a holy grail,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know, like Jesus drunk out of jeweled gold cups.
Yep.
You know, he was too humble for that. He was too
Right.
humble of a
He
man
was a
for that.
carpenter. He was a carpenter.
Right. He lived his life too humbly
Hmm.
to be sipping out of chalices that everybody would notice.
Right.
Well, again, I don't know what kind of artifact he would have because Jesus, as a teacher, told his disciples, "Don't take an extra cloak,
Right.
take no purse." You
Hmm.
know, you know, and then only eat when they offer you some food, and if they're not nice to you, then walk out that city and shake the sand off
Dust
your,
off. Yep. Shake the dust off
you
your
know,
feet.
shake the
Hmm.
dust off your.
Hmm.
And so I couldn't imagine an artifact. You know, once again, people are looking for signs, looking for signs, looking for signs, and there's already been signs.
Hmm.
You know, there's
Hmm.
already been signs, and so you know, I take that with a grain of salt. I take that with a grain of salt because it's very unverifiable.
Hmm.
You know, it's very unverifiable that you would find anything that you can say this was Jesus's. Not a shroud of Turin. I'll
Hmm.
go with that. I'll go with
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
Um, but other than that, I really can't think of something that glad Vladimir Putin would have that would shock the world to
Right.
prove even Jesus was black, and that's a great thing
Hmm.
to get it out there. You
Hmm.
know, look what we call black, what we call black, what we call black is different
It is
um,
across the world, across the world.
across the world. So, you know, I chalk it up. We know that Jesus was a Jew.
Yes.
We know that Jesus was a Jew. And you and I have talked about this privately before, but before they came up with this concept called the Middle East,
Mm-hmm.
There was only Europe, Asia, and Africa right there.
Exactly.
You know, Europe and Asia and Africa. And so now they want to break up this part of Asia and this part of Europe and this part of the Northern Africa to call it the Middle East
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
without trying to acknowledge that this is Africa.
Absolutely.
So, I take a little, I take homage with that. You know, I can't, I can't mess with that. So either it is or it isn't.
Right.
So,
But I'll add this. So the Bible speaks about when Herod had sent out the proclamation to kill the male children, and God told Joseph and Mary, he said, take the child into Egypt. Well,
mm-hmm,
if he was blonde and white hair or blonde and light fair skin, I think he would have stuck out in Egypt, but apparently he didn't. So that means he had some color. Doesn't mean that he was dark, like what some people would say black people look like. But
right,
when you look at his description in the Bible, brown skin, I'm like, bronze is kind of brown.
yeah.
So he had color. He had
'Cause
color. And
having
woolly
color,
hair. And woolly hair.
yeah.
Not
Because having
everybody
color is
has.
one thing.
Right.
Having color is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's color all around the world.
Right.
But see, we in our today's labels,
Mm-hmm.
we in our American labels.
Yes.
Um, no, but everybody has a little something to everyone. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if you're darker than me, then I might say something. If
Right.
if you're darker than the next person, that's
Mhm.
it's irrelevant.
It is.
Us black people can't get it all right, and white people can't get it all right,
Sure
and
can.
and Chinese people, Japanese people, whatever
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
race, can't get it
Mm-hmm.
all right.
Mm-hmm.
Because somebody lighter, darker, got this kind of hair, that kind of hair, this color eyes, nobody's the same.
Nope.
And
Nope.
in our human existence, we're gonna talk about you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We always had prejudices, and we're going to have prejudices. Just wish that we could all somehow get it together and not kill each other.
That's right. So let's switch gears to fitness.
Okay.
So, Mr. Harp, we were
Mm-hmm.
talking about heart health and
Yeah.
staying healthy. And you're talking about how this is a great time of year, and it is. However, there are certain
Mm-hmm.
parts of the country that have experienced blizzards. We had one here in Michigan on Friday, and it was crazy because we probably had 3 to maybe
Four
4 inch.
seasons in one day.
We did 4 inches of snow, like it came down within a couple of hours. I was driving in it, you could barely see, was low visibility, it was extremely cold. And I was like, okay, we just had 70 degrees a couple of days ago. What is happening? And so a lot of people are coming out of hibernation, as I call it. You're coming out of wintertime and your thought is, oh, I just want to start an exercise program. But sometimes we have to think about our hearts, what our conditions are. But talk to
Uh,
us about how exercise can help our heart health.
well, first off, your heart is what pumps your blood.
Mm-hmm.
And as you pump your blood, you need circulation, and the better you move, the better your circulation. Um, it's as simple as that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
your heart is the central core of your body that keeps you going. All right, I could use better terms, but to break it down in layman's terms, it's the motor. Okay, this is your engine. This is your engine of your body, and you got to
Mm-hmm.
keep it. You got to keep it together. You only get one.
Right.
Right? Now, there's people who can have a heart transplant, but listen, you only get one. Okay, and we make repairs to it if necessary. But the better you take care of your heart right now, the better it'll last you.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
keep in mind there are congenital defects that people have, but we got to move. We
Mm-hmm.
got to move. We got to keep going and keep that blood circulation going through our body. Got to keep the heart pumping at a solid rate. All right, and it's that simple. We eat right to take care of our body. We have to drink water to take care of our body. We have to lessen those vices that we have. in order to take care of our body. But the most important thing to do is to take care of your heart.
Yes.
Got to take care of your heart. And one of the best things to do about that is to keep moving. And as I say every time I'm on here, you got to move.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you can just roll those arms while you're sitting in your chair, while you're pumping those feet while you're sitting in the chair. And if you can get up and walk, get up and walk. Move around. Get those knees up. Move those arms. Get those arms up. Okay? And if you could put something heavy, a little weight in your hand, do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Got to
Mm-hmm.
get moving. For everybody who's listening and watching, it's all about moving.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's it. As I said, this is the perfect weather.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Outside. Get outside. Open that door. Put those yoga pants on. Put those gym shoes on. Tie them up tight. And go for a walk. If you can do it before work, great. If you got to wait until after work before it gets too dark, get the kids together. Make it a family affair. Get the animals out and just
Mm-hmm.
get out and walk.
Mm-hmm.
How about this? Walk to the store.
There you go.
Instead of driving to the store, walk to the store. You know, you don't have to get a whole lot of things, but grab a couple things and carry those bags back. You got a little exercise now.
Yep.
Worked out a little sweat. And as the weather breaks, you're gonna wish you got outside before it gets bad again.
Yes.
If you live in, as you mentioned, we have 4 seasons in one day.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. We went from the early morning, it was nice, snowed. Few hours later, the snow was melted.
Yes. It was. It was weird. And the
Very
sun came
weird.
out. And the
But the
sun came out.
sun came out. But that's how we do it. So sometimes you got to take advantage of those small times that you have. Okay.
Gotcha.
A lot of us wait until those big moments. Well, we got to wait till the time is right. Got to wait till the time is right. Then, I forgot to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we got to get up. Sometimes it's motivation. Call your friends. Call your girlfriend. Call your girlfriend and say, hey, today we're going to walk. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, me and you, we're going to walk and make this our thing. Instead of going out to get some donuts, instead of meeting for breakfast, instead of doing this on Saturdays, we're going to meet and go for walks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
try it. For anybody listening, try it. And then let us know how you feel. Okay?
Absolutely.
Now, nothing happens
Absolutely.
overnight, but you got to give it a little chance.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see how better your heart feels, how better you're breathing, how taller you're standing. You might find out, wait a minute, my legs move a lot better than they used to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those things happen. Now, again, there are situations that some of us have where we can't walk as much. We can't move as much.
Mm-hmm.
That's understood. Do what you can. Go for your limits. Reach your limits and try to go a little bit behind, a little bit past them. Not everybody can run. Walk. Not everybody can walk. It's all right. Move those arms. And if you can't move those arms, move those legs. If you can't move either one, smile. Smile and do what you can. You know, my point is, got to be happy,
Yes.
happy and healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
I pray that for anybody and everybody listening. Got to be happy and healthy. Keep your heart going. Keep that blood circulating. Drink a lot of water. Eat the right foods. And just move your feet. That's all I got to say, Miss Davis. I wish I could make it harder, but that's as easy as I could make.
No, 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 because those were all great points. And so here's my last question for you.
Yes.
So exercise, we've learned that exercise and fitness helps to strengthen our bones, our heart muscle. It helps to lower our A1C for those of us who might be dealing with
Mm-hmm.
diabetes or
Mm-hmm.
high blood pressure. It helps to reduce your blood pressure because you're moving.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this so hard for, because now we have the evidence, we know that it works, but why is it so hard for us, Mr. Harp, to establish a fitness routine?
Well, just like anything, sticking to it.
Mm-hmm.
We can start anything, but sticking to it.
Mm-hmm.
The patience.
Mm-hmm.
We see a lot of us know what the results are if
Mm-hmm.
we do it,
Mm-hmm.
but we're impatient to get those results. God, I'm not seeing them yet. No, I'm not seeing them yet. Just like with anything, with weight loss. Um, if you don't see it that as fast as it's advertised, you get discouraged. Um, Sometimes when you have to eat well and you didn't make it to cook today, oh, gotta grab something quick.
Mhm.
We fall off the wagon. And as soon as we fall off the wagon, we start beating ourselves up and being guilty about, I fell off the wagon. Okay, I'll get it back together. I'll get it back together. And then you feel guilty that you didn't get back together, like you told everybody you're going to get it back together. Because you start thinking people are waiting, people are looking. Well, sometimes they are, but who cares?
Right.
Do what you can do. And when the time is right, everything will fall into place. But you got to keep it up. Okay, you got to step up, keep it up. Count your steps. For those who are very organized, count your steps.
Mhm.
Keep a track of your time. For those that are not so organized and looking for how do I get organized, just show up. I say go to a gym, take some fitness classes, and just show up at the time it goes. And then after a few classes, you find yourself on a schedule.
Mhm.
You find yourself like, I can't do that because I have this class at 7:30. Or, girl, I'll call you after my class. You know, all of those different things, it starts to become a routine. Once we establish a routine, guess what happens when you break it? You panic. You
Yep,
start going
you
into,
do.
oh, I broke my routine.
Mhm.
So sometimes the best thing to do is to take it slow. For those of us who can make a plan, just plan to get there. Let everything else work itself out. You don't have to overthink it. Just get in there and start. Now I know people say, but Mr. Harp, how do you start?
Mhm.
How do I pick the machines? Well, sometimes you don't have to worry about that. Just get on a bike, get on the treadmill. Now, if you don't know how to work a machine, ask someone. Ask someone at the gym who knows what they're doing. Ask one of the people on the desk, can you show me this machine? And they'll show it to you, show it to you safely how to
Mhm.
use it. Okay. And then once you do, get going. And then add a couple more at a time. You don't have to try to hit the entire gym in one day. They have to lift every weight that you see inside in one day. Pick a plan. I say one day, which is Monday, do upper body, waist up.
Mhm.
And on Tuesday, waist down. Wednesday, go back up, waist up. Thursday, waist down. If you go on a Friday, hey, go back up to the upper body. And then on Monday, you're going to start with the waist down. They get
Mhm.
3 days.
Mhm.
Okay. So everything that you're doing gets a 2 or 3 days a week workout. And again, it only takes 3 weeks to make a habit. So give it a try. Anybody out there listening, watching, give it a try. Let me know what you think.
Thank you, Mr. Harp. This has been a great conversation. Before we get out of here, tell us how we can reach you, how we can find you, and follow you on social media.
EricHarp9@gmail.com or Eric Harp on your social platforms. You'll find me.
Thank you, Mr. Harp, for coming on the Kim B. Davis Show. We know that you'll be back on next month with another exciting topic. We always enjoy talking with you.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis, as always. Great to be here.
Thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in. You know, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, or X, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok while it's still here in America, everywhere else on social media. And it's Kimberly Bachelor Davis. Bachelor is spelled Bachelor. You can see this show at youtube.com/Kimberly Bachelor Davis. You can hear this show on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, and Wisdom. And to learn more about me as an author, you can visit kimbdavis.com. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you'll join us on our next episode. And as always, remember, be magnificent.